So, one of the infrastructural issues that telecommunication companies face, I covered a little bit earlier, and that is going to be procuring materials. That's going to be very difficult, especially since in rural areas there is nothing already laid inside the ground for the most part. So, there's no fiber optic cables, there's very minimal cell towers in the areas as well. And unfortunately, the current broadband probably can't connect to the current cell towers that they have now, so they do need to build new ones, which again do require extra materials. And they do have to start that process from scratch, which again, time consuming and costly, but distance, geography, and topography will also impose hurdles on these companies. So when we think about areas that are hard to reach, I know this is an extreme, but Antarctica, not a lot of people live there, but there's still a need for those who maybe conduct science experiments out there. But I like to kind of relate this to something closer to home, like the high desert or even Death Valley. People still do live there, and infrastructure definitely needs to be created so those people stay in touch with the world. Because of these low populations and low density populations, rural locations may be more expensive to create and maintain broadband infrastructure. Extreme weather can also harm this infrastructure. So, we're talking about extreme heat, high winds, tornadoes. So, a lot of these companies are having a hard time justifying going in and creating these necessary infrastructures if it's just going to be destroyed. So, even going into natural barriers like mountains, woods, and even lakes and rivers can make it more challenging to establish this type of infrastructure. It is also very likely that rural areas simply do not have the electric infrastructure needed to support broadband internet, so companies may need to invest in additional infrastructure to provide power or connectivity to these remote areas. Again, adding to the cost of deployment. But in remote places, maintaining and repairing the broadband infrastructure can be more difficult and more expensive because it may call for specialized equipment and lengthier travel times. Human workforces will also need to be established closer to these rural areas. Again, increasing the cost since these hubs have to be created, manned, and also staffed.